back to the podcast. Tonight, we're talking about something that so many people carry silently. What is it? It's that negative parental voice that lives in our mind long after childhood ends. We are grown adults, very grown up, right? But that negative voice lives on. So, in this episode, we're going to explore the hidden influence of the negative parental voice that lingers in our heads. If you've ever felt like you're battling an inner critic that isn't truly yours, this conversation is going to help you understand where that voice came from, how it affects your adult decisions, and most importantly, how to reclaim your own inner authority. Okay? You're going to learn practical tools to separate your true self from the inherited voice. That's what we're going to call it, the inherited voice. We're going to learn to rewire your inner dialogue and speak to yourself with the compassion you've always deserved. Perhaps the compassion you give to other people, now you'll be able to speak to yourself like that. Meanwhile, if you're new here, my name is Karen Marinez. I'm an emotional wellness coach. I help the exhausted woman to find peace, wholeness, purpose, and passion. People are coming in. I've said hi to most of you. The last few that came in, Audie's, hello. Elvin in the back, good evening. So maybe it sounds like criticism. Maybe it sounds like pressure. Maybe it sounds like disappointment. And maybe it shows up, especially when you're trying to do something new. You're taking a risk, or for once, you're choosing yourself. You're not imagining it, you're not overreacting, and you're definitely not alone. Magalina, hey, welcome. Today, I'm going to walk you through why your parents' voices get stuck in your head, how that internalized critic affects your adult choices, and most importantly, again, how to reclaim your own voice, your own truth, and your own inner authority. So let's start from the beginning. Why does their voice, whoever the caretakers were, we're going to assume they were your parents, how does their voice get stuck? So the first thing to recognize is we don't internalize our parents' voices because we're weak. No, we internalize them because we are wired for survival. So as children, we learn their approval means safety. Their disapproval means danger. So think about it. As young children, at 10 years old, if your parents left you abandoned in the house, you couldn't survive on your own. We needed our caregivers. We needed our parents. So our nervous system, very in tune to theirs from birth, it records their tone, their expectations, their fears, word for word. And it becomes an inner narrator, constantly checking, is this safe? Will this upset them? Will this disappoint them? And here's the key. Your brain does not update that narrator when you grow up. It's still there. It just keeps running the same script. It's like a chip in your brain that's been programmed to hear that narrative all the time, over and over, on repeat. So when you hear these words, you should be doing more, or don't mess this up, or oh, you're too emotional, or that's not good enough. It's not who you truly are. It's who you learned you had to be to survive, to belong, to avoid rejection. Do we realize this as children? Of course not. We're not aware of this. But this is what's going on in our subconscious. Our bodies know, our nervous system, we have to survive. These are people we depend on. And we're very in tune to the mood in the house, to what's going on, to how the tone in the house is, and we know who to avoid, who to go to, who to speak to, in what way. It's all to survive and to avoid rejection. But here's a key point I'd like for you to remember. If there's nothing else you remember from today, it's this: that voice did not come from your soul. It came from your conditioning. You learned it. That voice was put in your brain because you heard it over and over. People always say, my mother used to always say, right? Or my dad always said, or my dad, right? So the silver lining, though, is that conditioning can be rewritten. Give me just a sec. My auntie, she's, oh, I'm really putting her on blast. Is she 82, I think? I think she's 82. Cute, fly. She's trying to get on, uh, probably on her TV. So I'm going to send her the link. Okay. All right. It's sweet because she's my dad's sister. And if my dad was alive, he'd be on every week, watching me, supporting me, and he'd be telling my mom, Barbara, get on, So the fact that she gets on and watches me, I appreciate it. Luce, hey, welcome. So how does the internalized voice show up? It can show up, this voice, in many different ways. And you can even put in the chat if you identify with any of these. The first one is perfectionism, and a lot of people deal with that. It's trying to avoid criticism, look, that isn't even coming. But because they were always looking and you were always thinking they were watching you, you better not mess up. If you do it right. You carry the family name, right? Whatever the thing. The voice can show up in that way as perfectionism. It could also show up as procrastination. Why? Fear of not being good enough. Because if I do it and I don't do it perfectly or very well, I'm going to hear it when I get home. So I'd rather not even, I'll just put it off till tomorrow, because what if I don't do it well? Then so I avoid it's going on and on. How about people pleasing? Ooh, I have a lot of clients, a lot of people that come into my classes. They say, keep Karen, I'm a big time people pleaser. Why? You learned, avoid conflict at all costs. Whatever you, just avoid the conflict. And what about self-doubt? Assuming you're doing something wrong. And what about shame spirals? Feeling like you're never good enough. You're never enough. Okay, so here are some specific examples. Maybe you focus on perceived flaws. You put on some pants and you say, oh, I look so fat in these pants. Or there's a harsh judgment after an error. You say, God, how could I be so stupid, that word? Or how could I be an idiot? Or I can never get anything right. What about the all or nothing thinking? Believing you're a failure or a terrible person because of one mistake, an error. Instead of saying, I made a mistake and that's okay, you say, I'm a horrible person, I'm a failure. And what about attributing a failure to character or an error, we'll say, thinking, I'm not cut out for this job. Instead of focusing on specific behaviors or skills that could be improved. All right, yeah. I could be more exact with or more prompt to answer emails, or I really need to get to work on time. But once I'm there, right, I'm doing that job, I get it done. But instead of focusing on that, we say, I'm not cut out for this job. I can't get there at 9 o'clock. I just can't. What about comparing yourself unfavorably to others? Ooh, this is a hurtful one. When you say, I'll never be as good as them, or they'll choose someone else over me. That's a heavy burden to carry when we're constantly comparing ourselves to others, because we all have our own strengths. And what about dwelling on past mistakes? Ooh, that can weigh us down. Replaying a mistake over and over again in our heads. Ooh, that's a burden. And then perfectionism, setting impossibly high standards and feeling a constant sense of inadequacy because we inevitably will not meet them, cannot meet them, don't meet those high standards. And all of these things make us feel so bad about ourselves. If the inner voice were positive, it'd be great. But when it's negative like that, it leaves us feeling defeated. That's where the problem lies. And so it becomes this heavy burden because it never leaves our head, and it's on constant over and over. It just plays and repeats, plays and repeats. And sometimes the voice doesn't even sound like words. It can be something physical. It could be a tight chest, knots, or a clenched stomach, heavy pressure on our shoulders. Your body also feels it. These physical sensations are the old voice speaking through your nervous system. It's pressure, it's anguish, it's anxiety. But you know what the most painful part is? It often shows up when we're trying to grow, when we're trying to do new things or bigger things. Have you felt that? That's when we hear the voice saying, "Are you sure you could do that? Or who do you think you are? You know you're going to fail. Why even try?" So it's not because we're actually in danger, but because our old conditioning, that chip, it doesn't know the difference between emotional risk and actual danger. And that's where the work begins. Because if you're here, it's possible that you've either been a client of mine, you've been in one or more of my classes, or you've been here often on Monday nights. You're on this emotional wellness journey that's new. And you may hear these topics week after week. And yeah, Miosty11231 says, yes, I felt that for sure. Yeah, it happens. And it's a terrible burden. And so you've been in this box for years, maybe for decades, and you're trying to start to stretch out. I'm going to speak up for myself. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to prioritize myself, my rest. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to feed myself. Just talking to a client the other day, she said, I could be hungry she may fix a meal for her daughter, but she won't feed herself. Outright neglect. There's a reason, of course. But when we start saying, no, I'm going to feed myself, something as simple as I'm going to go to the bathroom when I need to go to the bathroom. I'm not going to hold it so I could get those last 10 emails out. Then no, I'm going to stop and go to the bathroom. When we try to start doing those things, we're stretching out. That voice comes up. What you think you could change now? You've been doing this for 60 years. You've been like this for 50, 40. That's where the work begins, because now there's a tug, there's a conflict. You, the adult you, wants to stretch out of that box and grow. And that voice in your head is like, no, don't do it. You're going to fail anyway. Latasha Johns, good evening. Welcome. And we don't want that. Okay, we don't want that voice to win. We want to win. So here's the first step. If you're taking notes, the first step is separation. Before you can silence that negative voice, you have to separate you from it. So ask yourself, is this my true voice, or is this their voice? My caregivers, my parents, or grandma, grandpa, my aunties, whoever it was. Ask again, do I actually believe this, or did I inherit it? Okay, you can't do that. Why are you even trying? Is that my true voice, or is that my dad? Is that what he used to tell me when I was a child? Okay, you're going to fail anyway. Why try? Well, if you're not going to do it perfectly, don't even get started. So start paying attention to the words, start paying attention to the tone, the age you feel, because maybe it takes you back to, oh, when I was 9 years old, I remember this, and this happened. What kind of fear does it trigger? Get in touch with it. Where does it, we're trying to get to the root, and we want to separate it from it. Most people realize that that internal critic speaks in the same tone their parents used. Of course it would. And that it speaks to them as if they're still a child. And look, all of us here are grown adults. That's kind of like we're all adults. I'm not a child, but awareness is that wedge that creates the space, because we're trying to here we are, adults, trying to do our thing, live our lives, be happy, pursue our passions, grow out of our abundance. And that voice is right there, right there. So we want to start creating space. And awareness is is the wedge that starts creating that space. Because if we're not aware, we're not aware. But now that when you know, all right? And like Maya Angelou says, when you know better, you do better. Okay? And space from yourself and that voice, that critic, is what allows the transformation. Isn't that exciting? We're not stuck. We're not stuck. Okay? So the first step is separation. The second step is understand its original purpose. Now, here's where things get interesting. Even the harshest parental voices had an unconscious purpose. So sometimes they were trying to protect you. When mommy said, "Don't get your hopes up, baby. You're probably not going to win that prize. You'll get hurt." So she was trying to protect you from the hurt. They're not bad people. Hey, Yolanda, welcome. Good to have you here. We're not saying your parents were bad people, but they gave from what they had. So I want to protect my baby. I don't want to get her hopes up. So I'm going to say, don't get your hopes up. And it kind of makes you like, oh, we assume the worst. Sometimes they were trying to shape you. You got to be the best to survive in this world. They really wanted the best for you. But what did that tell you? How did you interpret it as a child? That if I can't be the best, then I'm not even going to try, because perfectionism. Unrealistic expectations. Sometimes they were projecting their own wounds, fears, or failures. They're human too. If a parent is scared to death of water, 98% of them would never want their child to get in the water, to swim. Of course, as a child, you can learn more easily, but if they instill that fear, because they have the fear, no, 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 get back, be careful. At the beach, you can only put your toe in the water because they're like, so you're going to drown, right? That they're projecting their own fears and failures on you, their own wounds. They were hurt as children. They were stomped down. And so they just do the same thing. We're not saying that they're horrible people, but they gave from what they had. And right? So you don't have to excuse it. You don't have to justify it. But seeing the context helps you to detach emotionally, because then we can get all wrapped up. We could forget about the inner critic and we get all wrapped up in, I can't believe they did that to me. Why would they raise me like that? And now we're off on this tangent. But we can't change the past. We can't change them, what they did, how they did it. But when we step back and see, like, oh, they didn't mean bad. It's just that was their own issues. And then you begin to realize this was never about me. It was about them. What they said to you was really their own insecurities, fears, and wounds. A mother that says, "Baby, women don't speak up." She didn't have a voice. She was afraid. Someone put her in her place, either as a child or in her relationship, her marriage, and she learned, just stay quiet to keep the peace. Whatever the thing, but that's her. It was them. It's not about you. And again, we're trying to separate ourselves from those voices. I got some comments. Candida says, yes, when we know better, we do better. Hello from an elderly one. Yes, she is over 70 years young and learning. That's right. I love it. I love it. We're never too old. Candida is young. Miosti says, my husband's childhood laugh out loud. So true. Yeah. And it affects us. It's like a mark on us, but we can take that mark off. So the moment you realize that that voice wasn't yours in the first place, what can you do? Say bye-bye, adios. You can let it go. It wasn't yours in the first, it was theirs. I don't have to carry that. So we separate ourselves from it. We understand its original purpose. It was really to protect us, and it was also from their wounds, their insecurities, their fears. It wasn't our voice, it was theirs. Latasha says, yes, let it go. Drea, hey, good to have you. So the third step is reclaim your own voice, girl. Reclaim your own voice. So here is the heart of the work, okay? When the old voice shows up, You respond with a new internal authority, because you're the big kahuna, you're the one in charge, you're the adult here. Now, some of us as adults still allow our parents to run our lives. That is not healthy. Once we become adults, our parents can be mentors, they can be coaches to us, they can advise, they can be our advisors, but we are now adults and we should take responsibility for our own selves, our lives, our decisions. So let's find your own internal authority. This is your adult self, your grounded self, your present day self, you today. So here's some scripts you could try. If you are taking notes, here's some things you could say to yourself when those thoughts come up. Here's the thought. How could I be so stupid? I hate even saying that word. I can't stand that word. But this is something that may go through your head all the time. And then you can say, oh no, I don't talk that way to myself anymore. And you distract yourself with something else. Or, oh wow, you put on some pants. I'm so fat. You say, oh, that voice belongs to the past, not the present. Here's another one. I hear you, but I choose my own tone now. Like, you can't do that. Oh, yes, I can. I'm certainly going to do my best. Or thank you, but I don't need that kind of protection, because again, we have to realize that it came from a place of love and parents wanting to protect us. And here's another last one. You could say, this is my life now, and I decide what's true. Okay, the pants are a little snug. I'm not fat. I've gained a little weight. I'm going to do what I need to do. Pull back on the donuts for a while, right? I'm going to do some exercise. I'm not a failure because I gained 20 pounds. That doesn't define me. I want to be healthier. I want to look better in my jeans, and I want to get back, but I'm not a failure. I haven't lost my beauty, my value, my worth. So thank you, but I don't need that kind of protection. Or you know what, this is my life now, and I decide what's true. And what's true is, even though I gained a few pounds, I'm still beautiful. But I'm going to get to work. I'm going to take responsibility. Yeah. I did a little too many barbecues and restaurants, and I'm going to reel it in and get back to my goal weight. You see the difference? Not that critic. Oh, horrible. So have in mind, you're not fighting that voice. You're just overriding it with something healthier. You know how you go to the supermarket, and then you buy something, and then you're like, oh, but it's on sale. But you're like, did the sale price come up? That's me at the counter. It was supposed to be marked down. Like, oh, it didn't come up. Okay, wait. And they asked for a supervisor to come and override it. They put in their whatever, their code, and then they put it down to the price of the sale that I saw on the rack. So we're just overriding those negative voices with something healthier. And over time, because it doesn't happen overnight, it takes time and persistence. Over time, your new voice becomes louder, warmer, not so critical and cold, and more trustworthy. It's even the tone with which you say it. Because if you say, I'm beautiful, maybe you don't really believe that, but you're saying it because you're trying to fight that voice. But if you say, I'm beautiful, doesn't that sound like you're really convinced about it? So we want to become healthy voices for ourselves, to replace the old negative critical voice that was inherited. It's never been our voice. Never been our voice. Okay. Oh, Elvin says, please hit the like button and subscribe. Yes, please. So here's a simple but powerful exercise. All right. You can do this every day. It's a practice. So number one, notice the voice. What does it say? How does it feel? Number two, name it for what it is. Oh, that's that old voice from my dad. Yeah, my mom. Oh my goodness, she used to say that to me all the time. Name it. And then place a hand on your body, maybe the chest or your heart. That's a nice, and just sit there with it, because that gives your body, your nervous system, like, we're safe. We're adults. We're in control now. We're not helpless victims that depended on our caregivers at 5, 8, 10 years old, 12, 15, 17 years old. But now we're in control and we're safe. So that brings you back to the present. And then speak your corrective truth aloud. You could say, I choose a kinder voice now. I'm allowed to learn. And when learning means you're going to make some mistakes, but it's okay. I don't have to be perfect. I don't need approval to breathe. Some of us still have our parents' thoughts, and it's like, ooh, my father would not approve of this. But it's okay. You're an adult. As as long as it goes along with your moral values, and right, you're not hurting anyone, breaking any laws. But I don't need his approval anymore. I'm my own person. I'm grown. And your nervous system listens when your voice is calm, slow, and compassionate. So it's not just the words we say, but let's get ourselves in a place where we're calm. We could say it slowly, and we're compassionate with ourselves. That's how you retrain the voice. So let's talk about reparenting the wounded part of you. Every time that negative voice appears, it's pointing to a younger version of you who absorbed those messages. This, we absorbed. A child absorbs everything in their environment, whether the parents are aware or not. Look how we absorb language, accents. You're a child born in the South, you have an accent different from you born in the North, you're born in New York, you have a different accent from somebody in Massachusetts, Boston, right? Boston, the car. Here in New York, we say New York, the car, hard AR, right? We absorb that. Someone born here with Dominican parents who migrated here, they can speak Spanish with a Dominican accent in the house, step outside the house, speak English in the accent of the area they live in. Amazing. Children absorb everything. So remember, that negative voice was inherited. You absorbed it as a young person. It's not yours. Okay, so imagine sitting with that younger version of you. Imagine how small she felt, how much she needed softness, not pressure. She needed validation, not criticism. She needed presence, not fear. I've spoken to people, there were no safe adults in their home for them to run to, ever. It was all business. Report card, you need a permission slip signed, you want to eat, but no hugs, no kisses, no love, no support, no validation. Tough. So ask that little girl, what did you need to hear that you never got, that you never received then? And what did you need someone to say to you? Was it, baby, you're okay? Oh, you're so smart. You're capable. Oh, that dress looks beautiful on you. You have such gorgeous eyes. I love your hair. Oh, I like how you paint your fingernails. Whatever the thing. I like how you gave that report. Great reading. Good job. What did you need to hear? And then say those words to that little girl. That's our inner self, that she's in there. She's afraid. And here we are as the adults showing up for her, saying, baby, it's safe now. We're in control. I got you. We're okay. I know I've neglected you for a long time, but I'm here now. Say those words to her. You look yourself in the mirror, say, you're so beautiful. First day at the new job, you got this. You made a mistake. It's okay. Pick yourself up. We all make mistakes. You got this. Come on. You could do it. Go back and try again. So that's reparenting ourselves in the purest form. That's where the true healing happens. And how beautiful that we can do it ourselves. Because, okay, I'm 53. To blame my parents for something that happened years ago and just wanting to put the blame on them and leave it with them, how does that benefit me? I'm still stuck. I'm still here. I'm still in pain. The power, when I learned that I can do this, I have the control over me, phenomenal. So you become the one that protects the little girl now. You become the one who guides her. You become the one who speaks into her life. And males too, because I have male viewers and clients. You protect him, you guide him, you the one to speak into his life. And that's how you break generational cycles. Why generational cycles? Because um I'm sure your parents heard whatever they said to you is probably what they heard growing up, and your grandparents, that's probably what they heard growing up, and it has gone on. It's transgenerational trauma, wounds, fears. My dad was 6'2", and he was scared. Grew up in Miami, Florida, where there are rivers and beaches and all that. Um, and he was scared to death of water. 6'2". He retired and, doing stuff. And I'm like, Dad, you should take a swimming class. I was always trying to encourage him to do hobbies and stuff. And he was like, what? I said, me and Elvin will do the class with you because we want to learn how to swim too. Great instructor, beautiful class, nice heated pool, blah, blah. Went to a local college. My dad was 6'2", and he would not leave the 3-foot part of the pool. And he was holding, looking back, I never saw him in water. So I didn't get that fear from him. I'm respectful of the water, and I never learned to swim, but I love being in water, the pool, as long as my feet can touch the ground. But that's what I'm saying. He's 6'2". He could have gone up to the 6 feet, right? Or at least the 5 feet. He would not leave that part of the pool. And I'm like, oh my goodness, Daddy. I was shocked. He didn't show a lot of fear. And I had never seen him in water, but then I understood why, because and he's not a beach lover. I get all that from my mom. She loved the beach, lakes, everything. Never really learned how to swim, but she wasn't afraid of the water. So she was the one that I would be in the water with when we went on vacation and stuff. But I never thought about him being afraid of it. He didn't say, "Oh, don't go near that one." He didn't say that to me, so I didn't realize it. But who knows? Maybe he had. I gotta ask my aunt. Maybe somebody he knew drowned as a child when they were teenagers, or whatever. The fear came from somewhere, or maybe his parents instilled the fear. Who knows? But trauma. I'll never forget him holding on for dear life. I'm like, but Dad, just stand up. And what 3 feet didn't even come up to his waist. That's just how these things can just get us all, wow, locked in. And we feel like there's no way out. But I promise you there is. You can reparent yourself in its purest form and live and be free and enjoy life and not have that voice so loud in your head. We may never be able to totally remove it, but we can lower that volume all the way down. All the way down. And we start laughing like, wow, years ago I would have thought this, but now look at me. Yes, I know I could do this, right? The confidence grows. We want to speak to ourselves. Great information listening made me reflect on attitudes I display in different situations, and I realized it's my parents' or grandparents' attitude. It's amazing how greatly we have been influenced. But of course, who else was there to influence us? It was our parents and grandparents. That's the main voice that mattered. All right. So that negative parental voice does not disappear overnight. It would be great if it did, but nothing that's worthwhile happens easily, right? It takes work, but it fades because you're growing louder than it. You're more grounded than it. You're growing more you than it, that voice. And now take the power back. Your inner dialogue is yours. Your voice is the one that really matters. Your voice, your adult voice. Your truth is the one you get to live by. This is your life. And you deserve a voice that encourages you, supports you, believes in you. Look, if I can't believe in myself, if I can't support myself and encourage myself, poor me. And a lot of us have done that. We live waiting on the approval of others, the encouragement from others. Even our spouses, sometimes we go from depending on our parents for their approval, and then we put it onto our spouse, but we need to walk strong within ourselves. Nothing wrong with getting outside point of views, but taking responsibility for ourselves and doing the work. Candida says, and the nervous system can get damaged. Of course. Miyoshi says, to this day, I can't open the fridge after ironing. Porque te da, what do they say? Oh my goodness. It's like a shock, right? My adult voice. Yes, that's a, tell us, Cindy, what do they say that pasma, right? Pasmo. Like, yeah, like a spasm, like a shock. People believe that. Yeah, and look, and you're grown and you still don't do it. And Candida says the nervous system needs healing, definitely, for sure. These are the, yeah, corriente. Yes, Latasha. Amazing. These are and that was their parents' voice, and that was their, and they kept. Yeah. All right. So you deserve a voice that encourages you, supports you, believes in you. Let's try to identify that voice that puts us down, that hovers and waits for us to fail, that's very critical and judgmental, that compares us to other people. No, no, no. We don't want to do that. All right. Alejandro, si estás ahí, ¿puedes poner el enlace del grupo de WhatsApp? Latasha Johns, I don't know if you're in my WhatsApp group. I think you're the only new person that I recognize in here. Anyone else that's here, if you'd like, you can join my WhatsApp group and keep up with what's going on, the latest, the next YouTube live that's going to come out and all that stuff. Lou says, wow, empowering, how it can benefit not only me, but my kids. Yes, that's a whole other thing. So now you people, you ladies who are, I was going to say people because they are males here, but you ladies that are moms, oh, and you men that are dads. Gracias, Alejandro. Oh my goodness. Let's help the next generation. So what a powerful thing. More motivation for you all that are parents to say, I need to work on myself and get myself together, because what I am, I project that onto my children, my own fears, my wounds, my insecurities. Many of you may have adult children. I've already projected that onto them. And you say, oh, but you can still reverse. Luz has small children. Do it now, but it's you. I've had mothers who say, no, I tell my kids I'm very conscientious to tell them positive things. Yeah, but if the children still, and that's great, but the children still absorb who you are. Children, it's in the walls, whatever's in the air, children absorb it, right? So that's all well and good for you to, baby, you're the best, and you're so beautiful, and keep up the good work. But focus on giving it to yourself as well, because even though you tell that to your child, if your child sees that you procrastinate, that you're a perfectionist with yourself, that you don't take risks, that you compare yourself to others, that you're negative to yourself, they'll still absorb it. Please work on yourselves. Give yourself that and know that it's for you, so you can have inner peace and grow and flourish. But your children too, they have a living example. They have a blueprint for what it looks like to have a mother and or a father who cares for themselves, not just getting their nails done or grooming, but in here and in here. That's the greatest gift. You talk about raising Well-adjusted children. Wow. That's a gift to you and to them. You get them on the road to wow. You walk in a room differently when you feel good about yourself. You walk in a room differently when you have self-esteem, when you're compassionate with yourself. Oops, I made a mistake, and you can make a joke out of it because it's not a big deal. And you don't go home and you're up all night thinking about it. What a fool I made of myself. I can't believe I said that. I can't believe it. No, it's over and done. We laughed about it and we moved on. Nobody cares. Well, I don't care. Right? Be you, be your real self. And by caring for yourself, wow, that next generation, you stop the madness because this is transgenerational. You stop it here. You say it stops here. Some more comments. Latasha, I'll email you soon. We used to be in the same Zoom classes. Okay, Latasha. Maggie says, I really want to install a positive voice to my daughter. Yes. So do it, put it in yours first, and then she'll copy your example. CR1687 says, now that I've developed my own voice, my mother and I get along much better. There's deep honor, love, and respect. Beautiful. Love that, Candida. Yes, they absorb and know when we get the help we need and start changing in mental emotional health. Yes. And Luce gives applause. Yes, 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 darlings. This is all good stuff. I love it. Love it. Sounds good. So I appreciate you for joining me today. If the episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who's also trying to heal from those old critical voices and rewriting their inner world. Okay? Until next time, please speak to yourself with the gentleness you've always deserved. And here's a quote from Louise Hay, who I love. She said, you've been criticizing yourself for years and it has not worked. Try approving of yourself and see what happens. Isn't that nice? Dr. Jesso is here. Bien hecho. Gracias, mi amor. Thank you so much. I don't have any questions. No one sent in any questions this week for Ask Coach K. Hopefully next week you'll email me, KarenMCoach@gmail.com. M as in Mary. Karen Marinez, KarenMCoach@gmail.com. Itza says this was awesome, like always. Thanks for being here, Itza. Latasha says thank you for the wonderful information. Success, Vimes life. Carolyn, hey Carolyn, yes, thank you, Karen. It's a pleasure. You girls, you're wonderful. I'm enjoying it from the skies above. Go on, girl. I was like, isn't she supposed to be in the air? That's cool. Nice. Do talk about some dedicated listeners. That's awesome. She's flying in the air and she's watching my podcast. I love it. Love you all. Have a wonderful night. Like, subscribe, share the link with others so they can start on their own amazing emotional wellness journey. Mwah. Have a great night. Big hugs. Ooh. And we'll talk soon. Bye. Be well.